The Doorstep Girls, written by Val Wood, read by Anne Dover. The moral right of the author has been asserted. Chapter 1. The two girls sat side by side on the doorstep, their knees drawn up and chins resting in their hands. They both stared vacantly into space without speaking. It was midsummer in 1848, and the dank and narrow court was humid and sticky. It stank of putrid decay, sewage, and of seed oil and blubber drifting in from the mills situated close by along the River Hull. The ground beneath their bare feet was unpaved and muddy, yet they chose to sit outside on the stone slab, with their cotton skirts tucked under them rather than be indoors. They had both been inside mill walls since 6 o'clock that morning, and it was now 7 o'clock in the evening. "I'm hungry," Ruby muttered. "I've had nought to eat since this morning. That was only a bit of bread." Her face was pinched and white, and made more colourless by the contrast of her dark hair, which strayed from beneath her cotton cap and across her forehead. "Did you take no dinner to work?" Grace asked, and when Ruby shook her head, said anxiously, "Shall I ask Ma if she's got any broth to spare?" She knew that although there was little food in her own house, there'd be none at all at Ruby's. They both looked up and turned their heads as they heard a rumble of cartwheels coming down the narrow alley into the court. "Who's this, then?" Grace murmured. "Dunno, but they'll have a job getting that cart down here," Ruby said, as a wooden cart, piled high with odd pieces of furniture, came into view and scraped against the walls of the alley in an attempt to push itself through. "Watch out for that brickwork," she called out. "You'll have landlord after you if you damage it." They heard a snort of derision, and they both laughed as, with a grinding and grating, the cart was sent with a violent shove into the court. A man and a youth of about 18 manhandled the contents in a valiant attempt to keep the furniture, a table, 3 chairs and a pendulum clock, from crashing to the ground. A woman walking behind the cart screeched at them to be careful, and although the man glared at Ruby and Grace as if it was their fault that the furniture was falling, the youth winked and smiled, and the two girls turned to each other and raised their eyebrows. "You moving in opposite?" Ruby asked. "To Mrs. Rogers' old place?" The house across from where they were sitting had the door and both downstairs and upstairs windows boarded up. "Well, just look at that," the woman complained, ignoring Ruby's question and staring at the boarded door. "They said it would be open. How are we supposed to get in?" "Don't worry, Ma," the youth said. "I've got a crowbar about me somewhere." No need," Grace interrupted. "My Ma's got a key." The woman turned to her. "Then let's be having it. We can't stand here all night." "Landlord boarded it up," Ruby disclosed as Grace rose to her feet and went inside her door. "Vagrants kept moving in. Let down tone of neighbourhood, you know." But as the woman didn't smile or comment, added cheerfully, "Not that they stayed long. Place was overrun with rats and mice." The woman grimaced in distaste, but then turned as Lizzie Shepherd, Grace's mother, came out, holding an iron key in her hand. "Take no notice of her," she said. "Sanitary men have been and put poison down. There'll be none there now. Only dead ones, anyway." She pursed her lips as the woman shuddered and pulled her shawl closer around her shoulders. Lizzie said sharply, "Been used to summat better, have you? Well, you'll have to put up with it till your fortune turns." She handed over the key. The woman took it without a word and moved away, but the youth came towards them. "Thanks." He touched his cap. "I'm Daniel Hanson, and they're my ma and da. They're a bit put out." He lowered his voice. "This is third move we've had in 6 months." "How come? Didn't you pay rent?" Ruby asked, looking up at him from the doorstep. Whilst Grace leaned in the doorway, her fair head on one side as she scrutinized the
Sample complete. Ready to continue?